I've been in the UFC, or I've been in the top five for the last 5 years of my life, or 4 years of my life, or something. I got one short interim belt shot against Petr Yan because Sterling pulled out, and man, I really just want to do everything that I can in order to get that thing. My years, I don't have a ton of years left in me. I'm not 25 anymore. So I'm willing to do whatever the UFC wants, and if that means making weight again in 4 weeks and then staying in shape, that's like a easy no brainer for me too. So I plan on going out, hopefully not getting too beat up, not being too sore, asking the UFC if I could be the backup, and then just proving to them that man, like I really want this thing. So please just let me have my shot at showing that I can be the greatest too.
It is always my great pleasure to speak to my next guest. He is returning to action in just a couple weeks now, May 3rd in Iowa, of all places. One of the top bantamweights in the world. You have no idea how close I came into this interview to introduce you as Gerald Sandhagen, but I'm going to go with your real name, Cory Sandhagen. I've been watching your vlogs, cracking up, and then when I just watched the one today called the poor kid Connor Gerald, and I cracked up laughing. I almost called you Gerald Sandhagen to open this up.
Right on. Yeah, glad you're liking them. They're kind of fun to do. So yeah,
that training video had me crying laughing with the. You're like, I like teaching these kids, and when they mess up, I was cracking up. I was like, this is brilliant.
Yeah, good, nice.
Where did you get the inspiration to start doing these?
I don't know, man. I think that the last round of vlogs that we did just were super boring. Like I just don't really have a type of personality that like wants to be followed around by a camera and then like act like charismatic and exciting on a camera all day. So I was like, hey, we'll do vlogs, but we're just gonna make them a bunch of office style skits, and I'm gonna write them. I think that coming up with funny ideas like that is fun too. So it was like enjoyable for all of us, and then like my mom makes an appearance and some of them my dad does too. So yeah, it was they were just fun to do.
The brand ambassador one was also hilarious. You walking out saying, "I look like I'm Sean O'Malley in ninth grade." I was like, "This is great."
Yeah. They were fun. Some of the ideas I don't think were able to make it because of YouTube stuff. But if I wanted to make them like really funny, that would have But I think that they would have maybe been a little bit too raunchy and cross some lines. So
I appreciate the originality because like I remember when Embedded first started, and like Embedded used to be like can't miss. Like I could not miss an episode of Embedded. And lately, no offense, like I just don't watch them anymore. They're always the same. Like one guy's getting a haircut, another guy's like you're going to the airport, checking in the hotel. I'm just like, this is the same thing over. Like occasionally you get like the fiery like interaction in an elevator or something, but like 95% of the time, every episode is the same.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Imagine being me where it's like literally the same thing week after week after week. So yeah, they were fun, man. I don't know if we'll keep them up or not, but I'm glad that people are liking them. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, Cory, as I said, you got a big fight coming up in just a couple weeks' time with Deiveson Figueiredo. Can I ask, because I remember hearing rumors about this fight, like it felt like months ago, and then it just never got finalized. And I think at one point you had called out O'Malley, and I was like, okay, I think that's actually a great fight to make right now. And then it did get made. So, like, was there actually a roller coaster ride, or was this always done and we just didn't know about it?
A little bit. I mean, they were trying to do me and Figgy in March 8th on that pay-per-view card. And then something kind of happened on Figgy's end where they needed to move the fight. So, so now they're doing us May 3rd in Iowa. So I've been in training camp for a really long time because, I mean, it was like close enough to it to where I didn't really, take any time off in between the two camps or whatever. But yeah, we were scheduled for March. Now they moved us to May. The call out of O'Malley was kind of just more one of those things where it's like, well, are we sure that Figgy is going to be able to fight in May? And also I think that fight kind of just made a lot of sense, So O'Malley's getting the title shot, which is what it is. But yeah, I thought that fight made a ton of sense. And I think that people really want to see that fight. So, when that Figgy one first fell off, I kind of wanted to just, make sure that I was, if he couldn't fight anytime soon, that I was trying to set something up with someone.
Yeah, I know you've never been a guy to necessarily pick and choose opponents, but were you happy with Figueiredo? I mean, obviously, I think this is a very exciting fight. You guys are headlining a card. It's in front of a crowd, which Don't get me started on the Apex stuff. So I mean, I think this is all good, but I know I'd read somewhere like I think you could have easily done the Peter Yan rematch. I think there's other fights. I don't want to rehash our interviews. You probably remember this. Like, it seems like every time we talk, I'm like O'Malley, O'Malley. I think that's like the perfect fight to make. Unfortunately, it just hasn't happened yet. So were you happy with Figueiredo?
Yeah, I'm happy with Figueredo. I think, I mean, Figueredo's really good, right? Like, I mean, he was an ex-champ. He did super well at 25, and then he's beaten some good guys at 35 too. So, I mean, I think that Figueredo is going to be a really tough fight. It's one that I'm definitely getting up for. Um, I really like fighting tough guys. I don't, like I try not to be like an elitist, like top ranked guy, like some of the other guys kind of sometimes act, but I think that he's like definitely a very worthy opponent. I guess not to sound, on my high horse or anything, but I think Figueredo's an awesome fighter. I respect him a lot, and he's going to bring out the best of me. And when I fight these guys that are really good, I really love the performance piece. I love watching my performances. I love watching myself, you know, compete at the highest level, and I think Figgy's the type of guy to bring that out of me. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
I don't know. I obviously you're a different fighter than Peter Yan, but can I ask, like, what did you make of his fight with Peter Yan? Because up to that point, he had looked really, really good. That was an incredible fight, by the way. Not to knock him for the performance, he lost the fight, but it wasn't like a bad performance. And up to that point, he looked like he was maybe one fight away from getting a title shot. I think if he had beaten Peter Yan, he probably would have gotten it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he was doing really good. I mean, granted, I mean, he doesn't really get to fight the same way that he does at 35 as he does at 25. At 25, he was able to really put a lot of pressure on people and kind of march people down and all of that. And you don't see that as much in his fights at 35. He also, has fought. He's been using a lot of his wrestling in the fights. Like it worked in round one against Jan, but then once Jan kind of was like, "Oh, okay, that's something that Figgy's going to do," Jan shut down all of the other shots, I believe. Where when he fought Cheeto and Font, he was able to wrestle both of those guys, but those guys don't necessarily have the highest wrestling pedigrees. So yeah, I mean, I think that the Figgy and Jan fight was really good. I think that he did have a lot of steam going into it, and he fought really great against Jan. Jan's just a really tough guy that wears on you, and as the rounds go on, usually the worse it gets for the guys that he competes against. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think that he's not going to be a slouch. I think he's going to be really good, and I'm looking forward to it.
We see some guys when they move up a weight class, and it seemed like he was kind of killing himself to get down to flyweight, but they come in, they find some success early, and then size, power, things like that start to kind of come back on him. I think we saw it with Rafael dos Anjos going up from lightweight to welterweight. Like, he did really, really well early, but then he started facing some of the bigger, stronger, more physical guys, and he struggled a little bit. I think we saw that. This is going back years ago, but even like a guy like Nate Diaz, like when he went from lightweight to welterweight, he won his first like 3 fights, but then he got like Rory McDonald, who was this big, physically stronger guy, and he just couldn't deal with that. Obviously, Cory, you're one of the bigger bantamweights out there, tall, long, big. I know you're absolutely expecting the best Deiveson Figueiredo, but do you feel like this could also be a bit of a factor here where kind of like, even though he is a bantamweight and he's been a bantamweight for whatever it is, like 4 or 5 fights now, you eventually can run into that brick wall. And even though I don't think Peter Yan necessarily beat him up badly, and Peter's not the biggest guy bantamweight, that's my thought on this matchup is like you could be that brick wall.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, hate it or love it, the bigger guys do better. Like that's kind of just the way that the animal kingdom works. Is the bigger thing usually beats the littler thing. But yeah, I mean, I think that I'm very big for the division. I think that I don't kill myself to make weight, but I'm definitely have to be really disciplined in the last few weeks in order to do so. I think that I'm a tough frame to deal with. I think that I'm really agile and athletic for being built the way that I'm built. And yeah, I'm long. I think Figgy's 5'5". I'm about 5'11", and so I think that Figgy definitely has his hands full. But I also know that those little guys, they're really used to fighting taller guys. I'm sure that Figgy has a ton of training partners that are much taller than him, just because that's like normal person build. But yeah, I think that he's going to be ready to fight a tall, quick, agile guy. But yeah, I know that I try to be as big of a pain in the ass for anyone that I fight against as I can be, and I definitely plan on if you're built like Figgy, I'm even more of a pain in the ass than someone my size.
100%. I don't want to backtrack too much with you, Cory, but one thing I always enjoy talking with you about is you have a great mind for the sport. And you're always brutally honest. You never hold back when you're talking about somebody else. You're talking about yourself. Can I ask? I know it's been months now, and of course, Figgy is a much different opponent. But can I ask you just like a bit of a reflection on the Umar fight? Like what went right, what went wrong, and what did you think of when Umar went on to fight Merab? Because I thought he did really well. It seemed like maybe he just ran out of gas a little bit, and Merab was, he's such a cardio guy. It just kind of took over in those later rounds. But I think even I'll be the first to admit, I thought Umar was going to win. Merab proved me wrong. I love Merab, but I thought it was Umar's time. Didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, their fight was awesome. I mean, they both fought really, really good. Uh, the way that Umar was able to defend a lot of those shots was amazing, but I think it took a lot out of him. Wrestling like that is not easy, and then to go back to striking, especially if you're a mover type of striker, it can be difficult. Merab fought awesome. Umar is a super dangerous striker, and Merab did a really good job of keeping himself safe in the entire fight. So, I mean, hats off to the both of them. I thought it was super, super competitive. I thought it was 2-2 going into the fifth round, and Umar was looking really good. And even the first like 90 seconds of that round, and then Merab kind of took over once the gas went away a little bit, like you said. But yeah, I mean, the me and the Umar fight, I feel like frustration lost me that fight a little bit. I kind of went in with the framework and with the perspective that he was going to be very hard to hit. And instead of just being like, oh, okay, that's something to expect, it like frustrated me more because I was like, but I've trained so hard in order to make it so that I can hit a difficult guy. And since it's still not working, this is making me frustrated. So it kind of spiraled from there. And then I think anytime that you get away from your true natural way of winning, things usually don't go well against the top guys in the world. And I think I kind of overcorrected in that fight, in that I knew that the point scoring was going to be close. I know that if anyone takes me down in the world, I can stand up. That I'm like very confident in. So I knew that that was going to kind of cancel each other out. So I knew that a lot of the fight was going to be determined off of who landed the more significant shot, or at least that's what I thought that it would be. Where I should have just run my normal game plan of good martial arts until they make a mistake and then jump on them, instead of like half good martial arts and then forcing things that aren't there, because forcing things that aren't there against good guys just flat out does not work. So frustration kind of lost me that one. I'm like still kicking myself in the butt because when I watched that, even though it was scored like 4-1 or something like that, all of those rounds were really close. And if I could have just done a couple things differently, I would have won. But that's kind of the story of mine is I'm like really good at almost winning these fights. So I got to like figure out how to actually get these close rounds bagged. And that's what I've been working on. So.
Yeah, that's the downside of scoring like that, because you look at the score like, oh, it's 4-1, but when you actually watch the fight, you're like, it was a very close fight. Like, it was a very competitive fight. The scoring doesn't tell you the whole story, right? Like, I think even the Deiveson Figueiredo fight, like, I know it was like a 5-0 shutout, but it was not like a complete blowout. You know what I mean? Like, Deiveson got completely they won fight of the night. It wasn't like he got dominated the entire time. But yeah, I understand what you mean. But the thing is, and I know you know this, Cory, like it always feels like you are always kind of like one big win away from being where you want to be in that title shot. And listen, apparently these days you don't even need to win a fight to get a title shot by what we're seeing right now, because Sean O'Malley's getting a rematch without fighting at all. So you never know what's possible.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that the O'Malley fight though it's just one of those situations where there's really nobody else. I don't really care to be too much of a hater on O'Malley, because if there was like one golden shining person that should be fighting for the belt next, then it would feel a little bit wrong. But I mean, in O'Malley's defense, there really isn't anyone else. Like I'm coming off of a loss. Umar just fought for the title. Jan has lost to both of them already. So yeah, it's kind of, I think that that's just one of those situations. But I will say, and I think that I'm going to, be able to make some waves after this fight if I go out and I win the way that I know that I can. Because I know that especially a guy like Figgy, I can look very, very good against and very impressive against, just because our styles work well for that for me. I think that if I go out and do that, I do think that I can be the next guy to fight for the belt, which, like I said, if you think about it, O'Malley or Merab wins, regardless of who it is, the entire world wants to watch me and O'Malley fight really badly. That's what the fans are really asking for. And then Merab, I'm the only one that he hasn't had to fight in the top five right now. So I do think that if I can go out and be super impressive, I'll put myself in a spot where, hey, there's no one else, so let's choose Cory. Which would be really nice to have happen to me once instead of instead of me getting so close and then losing and then having someone else jump in there. So that's what I'm banking on. I'm gonna even ask them if I could be the backup fighter in June right after that one. So I'll just train right through that for another couple weeks, and then and hopefully that will be kind of what my year looks like, is fighting for the belt at the end of it.
I love that idea. And listen, I know I'm repeating myself here. We've said this so many times, like you and O'Malley is such a perfect fight. I feel like it should have happened already. But the reality is, like, are you kind of of two minds? Because O'Malley wins, you could argue like maybe they do it a third time, right? Like there's a chance they try to do it again. But on the other side, Merab wins, like you really are the guy. Like you go out and beat Deiveson Figueiredo, you got to be the guy because he's already beaten Umar, he's already beaten Jan, he's like all these other fights. So can I ask like your opinion? Because on paper, I didn't think the first fight was necessarily all that close. I know O'Malley came out later and said, "I think I won 3 rounds." To do, he didn't win 3 rounds. I didn't think so, anyways. I didn't think it was pretty, and it wasn't like this barn burner. It wasn't like this exciting, crazy, like knockdown, drag out fight. I thought it was Merab 4-1. That's how I scored. I thought it was a pretty clear cut decision. Do you see it going that differently? Because I know Sean, I had hip surgery. And I'm not discount. I don't want to discount injuries like that, but how it's say. I do a podcast with Matt Brown. He says as soon as you voice it, it's an excuse. Like don't if you voice it out loud after a loss, it becomes an excuse. So I don't know. Do you see the rematch going any differently?
Not really. I mean, I think that O'Malley's like way of winning that first fight was to catch Merab. That's always kind of the fun part about MMA, is that you never really know what's going to happen because there is that ability for the fight to end like this. And I think that was O'Malley's like ability to win against a Merab. O'Malley's wrestling isn't as good as it needs to be in order to beat a Merab or to stop that guy's shots or to get up significantly quick in order to kind of make it so that it cancels out. He's just not that type of grappler. Maybe he's gotten a lot better. I don't know. But I mean, anytime you give the puncher's chance guy another full 25 minutes to figure it out, I mean, he's really good at it. He did it against Sterling. But I mean, if I were a bet man, I'd probably put my money on Merab, because betting on the puncher's chance guy is usually, I don't think, like statistically probably the way that it always works out, but that's what makes this sport fun. But yeah, I mean, the first fight, there's the excuse thing, I think that it's okay to have like some excuses or whatever, but I don't think going into a fight with an injury, you should maybe be like given that much grace for your excuse, because it's like, dude, but you did it, like you did it. So like, obviously you thought that it wasn't going to be significant enough to where you were going to lose, but yeah, also the fight wasn't close. The fight, like Merab was in control of that fight almost the entire time. And yeah, but that's like what guys in this sport do, is they have something happen, they change the narrative around it a little bit, and then people start believing that narrative, because that's how marketing works. And that's probably why he's fighting for the belt now over me. So not exactly, but yeah, so I don't know. Some people play it smart. I kind of play it stupid and honest, but that's kind of just the way that I am.
Yeah, I think that was like the frustration of the whole situation. Like, listen, I get it. And you're not wrong. Like, in terms of like, there's not a true number one contender right now that they're passing over to give O'Malley his rematch. But I'm just like, he lost. It was pretty clear cut. He lost, and he hasn't fought since. Like, it's weird that the champion fought. He fought and beat Umar, but the challenger hasn't fought since then. I'm just like, I don't know. And I'm sure you saw the reaction online. Like, everyone was kind of like a collective groan of like, there wasn't much excitement about it. And that's never the reaction you want to get to a fight.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have been keeping off of social media, but yeah, people were telling me that they were pretty fired. They were pretty like not super stoked about that fight, but yeah, I mean, it's not going to be a bad fight. Like even the first fight wasn't horrible. I think that O'Malley just like I think that he came out and even said it too. He just kind of overpromised and underdelivered, and maybe this time he won't try to overpromise, so there won't be as much expectation around the fight. I don't really know, but it's hard for me to imagine that fight going any differently. But I hope O'Malley wins. I think that he's like an exciting guy to have in the division as a champ, and I think that like I said, the entire world wants to watch me and O'Malley fight, and I think that that will be a very convincing argument for me to take to the UFC. If I go out and beat Figgy the way that I can, O'Malley beats Merab the way that he maybe can, and yeah, I think that that would be a pretty exciting and convincing argument to bring to the UFC after this one.
And in a way, it doesn't really matter who wins because, like I said, if Merab wins, you're the only other guy. Like I know you. I'm not saying it like you're going to get it by default, but I mean, you go out and beat Figueiredo, and you put on the kind of fight you're capable of putting on. You would be the guy. Like you would be the only guy who hasn't fought Merab, and you would be in the top five. So I mean, it really doesn't work out badly for you either way. As long as you go out and handle your business on May 3rd, you are in a really good position, knowing the title fight's a month later.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I'm really going to challenge myself to go out and like put a stamp on this thing. I've been training to dominate people. I worked my ass off in between these two fights with Trevor, like 3 days a week, driving all the way up to Golden to go to his gym to work with him, and then like really dialing in a lot of the grappling stuff that I've been doing with my wrestling coach and then with my jiu-jitsu coach. So, man, like I feel like a lot of things have really come together because I've been busting my ass because I fucking hate losing, and I'm super stoked to go out there and like really be able to shine. And I haven't had a good win in a really long time. Like my last win was when I tore my tricep and everyone shit on me for it. So before that it was Cheeto, and I kind of, my ego misses the feeling of being the man for a couple weeks in the world of MMA, and I'm hoping to kind of get that back for at least a little bit.
It's funny, like I still like whenever I type in your name and get ready to do interviews just to make sure what bases we're going to cover. Like I still say like the Frankie Edgar fight pops up and some of the other ones. So I know we all know you're more than capable of putting on those kind of highlight reel performances. But the reality is, when you get to the top of the division, you're going to run into guys like Cheeto, who's just impossibly hard to put away. Obviously that fight had like the worst scorecard ever in one of the scorecards, but you beat him up badly. Cheeto's just like the guy who just will not go away, but you had a very strong performance there. And I think the flip side, what I talked about with O'Malley, like when you fought Rob Font, you were injured but won. You're allowed to say like I was injured but won. Like it's the other side. When you're injured and lost, that's when people are like, oh, you're making excuses. You legitimately had an injury, but you still won.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how excited I am, dude. Like, I just really want to shine. And I think that, I'm a good enough performer now to where I can really just go out and do my damn thing now. And yeah, I'm not going to let anything stop me in this one. Like, I'm definitely, I think, going to be able to finish Figueiredo. I think that I'm going to show up like the best version that I've ever been. And I think that I'm going to look like a real champion in there, to the point where I think the UFC is going to have to give me a shot after this one with just how impressive I plan on looking. So yeah, I'm pumped.
And I know you probably, I don't know how much you even care or even pay attention to it, but like I love this card. Like this is a really good deep card. Like I talked to Jeremy Stevens last week. He's coming back, which is really cool, fighting in Iowa. Misha Tate's on the card. Like it's a really, really strong card, fighting in front of a crowd. I don't care what anyone says, like knocking out Deiveson Figueiredo May 3rd in Iowa with the crowd going nuts and 20,000 people in the arena or whatever number it's going to be, just is a different feeling than if you went out and did that same win in the Apex. Like if you went out there and knocked him out in the Apex, it would still be cool. But let's be honest, like it's going to make a bigger impact. This is a bigger card. Like they really did stack this card.
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy that they're going to Iowa. One, my dad's from Iowa, so we used to make like yearly trips out there, multiple times a year. So it kind of feels like my second home a little bit. So I'm excited to fight in front of them. I feel bad for all of the states that get like called boring, and people ask me where am I fighting, and I say Iowa, and they go Iowa, and I'm like, man, I love Iowa. I love the Midwest. I'm excited to just go out there, kind of fight in what feels like my second home. and it's beautiful in the May time. And Iowa people are super nice people, and I'm sure that they're going to be pumped to have a big show out there. And I'm really honored to be the main event there. And yeah, I'm stoked for the entire thing, man. I really I can't wait.
I love it though because I went to a card in Nebraska years ago, and while the town shut down, like right after the UFC card was over, because it was like 10 o'clock and the entire town was just like lights out. But the crowd was insane because I mean, you don't get a card there. This is the first card in Iowa, whatever it's like 20 years or 15 years or whatever. Like the crowd's going to show up, they're going to be going nuts. Like because I think a lot of times like the Vegas crowds get spoiled. You see where people don't show up until like the main card starts. That place is going to be packed from the first prelim until the main event, and they're going to be frothing at the mouth for that main event. So I think it's better in a way. Like I think you're probably going to get a better reaction out of that crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. I think not to be like too weird or whatever, because I don't really like thinking of myself like this. But I do think that it is pretty cool to inspire people, and I know that like a lot of the people that show up to that UFC fight in Iowa, that's gonna maybe be the only UFC show that they ever go to in their lives, because who knows when the UFC will be back in Iowa. So I think it's like a really cool feeling as a person to kind of be able to give people really memorable moments, and I have the ability to do so for the Iowa people and the people that don't get to have really cool UFC shows in their backyard, like a Las Vegas, or they're doing a lot of shows in Miami now and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm pumped, man, and I'm sure that they're pumped too, and it's going to be a lot of really good. Excited energy that I'm really can't wait for, because I am dragging right now. I need to start my taper pretty soon, but yeah, I'm excited for the fight. I'm excited to start getting excited about the fight, and training camp's almost over, and yeah, I'm pumped.
I know you mentioned this, so before I get you out of here, May 3rd is really all you're focused on. But assuming everything goes well, and boy, does it sound like it's going to go well for you. So you're willing. So that's May 3rd. So the next month, you want to stay ready and ready to go to be the backup for Merab and O'Malley. That would be like the ideal situation.
Hell yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna ask the UFC if I can do that. I mean, I gotta assume that I'm not gonna come out unscathed. So we'll see kind of how the fight goes too. But I mean, I'm willing to do anything that I gotta do to win to even just have an opportunity to fight for the belt, man. I feel like I've been in the UFC, or I've been in the top five for the last 5 years of my life, or 4 years of my life, or something. I got one short interim belt shot against Petr Yan because Sterling pulled out, and man, I really just want to do everything that I can in order to get that thing. My years, I don't have a ton of years left in me. I'm not 25 anymore. So I'm willing to do whatever the UFC wants, and if that means making weight again in 4 weeks and then staying in shape, that's like a easy no brainer for me too. So I plan on going out, hopefully not getting too beat up, not being too sore, asking the UFC if I could be the backup, and then just proving to them that man, like I really want this thing. So please, please just let me have my shot at showing that I can be the greatest too.